to have a couple of young filmmakers, 27 years old, come in and find
some actors fake drama on screen. Sylvester Stallone lived it off screen. Forget gossip columns, Stallone kept a real-life hit list of actors he couldn't stand. And the reasons are far more brutal than you'd think. We're not talking about petty disagreements or creative squabbles. These were intense showdowns that spilled into fists, firings, and friendships torn apart in public. From betrayal and ego wars to million-dollar fallouts, Stallone didn't just hold grudges, he turned them into defining moments of his career. So who made the list? One actor got thrown out of a moving car. Another was publicly called out for being greedy and lazy. And one supposed friend. Let's just say the rumors still haven't died. Let's dive into Stallone's most explosive Hollywood feuds and find out what made him snap. Richard Gere before they were famous. Sylvester Stallone and Richard Gere found themselves on the same low-budget film set in 1974, The Lords of Flatbush. The movie was gritty, tight-budgeted, and personal for Stallone, who had co-written the script. But the mood behind the scenes? Anything but friendly. From the beginning, the two clashed hard. Stallone acted on instinct, raw and unfiltered. Gere, trained in theater, was slow and calculated, a method actor, down to his bones. The vibe turned toxic quickly, especially on a set already under stress. Then came the mustard incident that blew everything wide open. One day, crammed into a car on set, Gere was eating a sandwich when a glob of mustard spilled onto Stallone's pants. That was it. Stallone snapped, elbowed Gere in the head, and threw him straight out of the car. The producers picked a side fast. Gere was fired, and the feud lived on for decades. And that was just the beginning of Stallone's list. Bruce Willis. Sylvester Stallone and Bruce Willis weren't just co-stars, they were action royalty. From Rambo to Die Hard, they defined an era of explosive cinema. So when Stallone created The Expendables, bringing old-school legends together, Willis was naturally part of the crew. But by the third film, loyalty took a back seat. Willis demanded $4 million for just 4 days of shooting. No discussion. Compromise. For Stallone, it wasn't just greed, it was betrayal. The vibe of brotherhood, the franchise, was built on suddenly cracked under the weight of $1 million a day. Willis was dropped. Harrison Ford was brought in. And Stallone didn't hold back, calling Willis greedy and lazy in public. In an industry that thrives on politeness, it was a shot heard around Hollywood. But Stallone was just getting started. The next betrayal. It cut way deeper, and this time, it wasn't about money. Eddie Murphy. In the 1980s, Stallone and Eddie Murphy weren't just A-list stars, they were actual friends. They laughed, partied, and supported each other in a world full of fake smiles. It was the rare kind of bond that Hollywood usually chews up and spits out. But then Brigitte Nielsen entered the picture. Nielsen, Stallone's wife at the time, had a role in Beverly Hills Cop 2, and rumors started flying. People whispered that she and Murphy were getting too close on set. Whether true or not, perception is poison in Hollywood. And for Stallone, seeing his wife's name linked with his friends in gossip headlines was unbearable. He didn't go through lawyers or PR teams. He called Murphy directly. One blunt question shattered the friendship. "What's going on between you and Sasha?" Murphy denied everything. But trust was gone, and so was the friendship. Years of loyalty erased by rumors, silence, and a phone call that changed everything. Kirk Douglas. By 1982, Stallone was on fire with Rocky under his belt and First Blood on the horizon. He wasn't just acting, he was shaping stories. Then, Kirk Douglas, a bona fide Hollywood legend, joined the cast as Colonel Troutman. It should have been a win. It turned into a nightmare. Douglas had one demand: rewrite the ending so Troutman kills Rambo, just like in the original novel. Stallone refused. He saw Rambo as more than just a one-and-done character. Douglas pushed anyway, rewriting scenes, talking about himself in the third person, and trying to reshape the movie around his ego. Stallone and the director finally drew the line. Douglas walked off set. Richard Crenna replaced him with 24 hours notice and nailed it. The result, a better performance, a franchise launched, and a massive win for Stallone's vision. But the message was loud and clear: not even legends get to rewrite his story. Arnold Schwarzenegger started with flowers thrown at Arnold Schwarzenegger's head. At the 1977 Golden Globes, Stallone watched Rocky get snubbed while Arnold walked away with a trophy. To Stallone, the guy was just a smug bodybuilder with an accent. But that night lit the fuse for a rivalry that would last over a decade. The 80s became their battlefield. Stallone dropped Rambo and Rocky sequels. Arnold answered with Terminator, Predator, and Commando. They mocked each other in films, took swipes in interviews, and the pettiest move. Arnold faked interest in a terrible comedy script just to trick Stallone into doing Stop, or My Mom Will Shoot, a legendary flop. But over time, the war fizzled. They got older, wiser, and even co-starred in films. Ironically, their feud helped push both to iconic status. Every punch, every jab, every ego flex. It fueled an era of action cinema we still celebrate today. Sometimes hate doesn't just burn bridges, it builds legends. In Hollywood, grudges usually get buried under PR smiles and photo ops, but not with Stallone. His feuds weren't just private, they became part of his legacy. Each one shaped a moment, a decision, or a role that left its mark on movie history. Whether it was a mustard stain, a $1 million standoff, or a prank gone nuclear, Stallone didn't just survive the drama, he thrived on it. These conflicts fueled his fire, sharpened his instincts, and made sure no one ever mistook him for just another action guy. And maybe that's the real twist. The very names he hated helped build the legend he became. Because in Stallone world, even his enemies had a role to play, they just didn't know it.